I'm live! Hey folks, it's Bill Ricardi. I just want to really quickly put something out there in regards to what's going on with the Ihy Saga. So any scratching and mewing you hear is strictly a coincidence. It has nothing to do with Loki trying to tear me to shreds. But if I survive the rest of this broadcast, you will get all of the news that I plan to talk about in regards to the Ihy Saga. A more general update, the two big announcements that are coming up, that is already over on my Facebook page. Just really briefly, I am involved in Dream with an E, their brand new product that they're putting out that is more fantasy and sci-fi oriented. And I will be able to talk more about that in about 2 weeks. I'm also involved in Podium Publishing's new initiative, the Go Broad initiative. Again, I can't give you too many details on that, but I should be able to within a week or so. If you follow my blog or my newsletter, or you see me over on Facebook, those are probably the best ways. If I remember, I'll also make a video here. So, here is what's going on with the Ihy Saga. I have just finished, I want to say, less than 12 hours ago, a final draft that I will be able to give to my beta readers. I'm just going to take one more look at it on Monday and Tuesday, and then after that, the invites will go out to my core beta reading group, my closed beta. After that, I may open it up to my open beta group, which is part of my mailing list, a much broader group. But anyone who is a fan of rhythm, anyone who is a fan of cadence, will know by now that the name of the third book is Tempo, and it involves what happens after the big stadium incident. And anyone who's read the books will know what I'm talking about there. It is probably a sadder book than the first two. And you might be thinking, well, the first one is not exactly a happy and joyful book. Well, you're right. But this is urban fantasy. It is a very realistic urban fantasy. We have people in it who are not, strictly speaking, untouchable or immortal or anything along those lines. So, people can get hurt. These are the kind of things that happen when you're writing a realistic novel. And you just add the fantasy powers on top of whatever level of realism that you have initiated. That's exactly the way that I try to write all of my books. I create a set of rules, and then even I, as the author, have to stick to those rules unless I'm making some sort of permanent change to the world. So, with that in mind, yes, it is a darker book than the first two. The thing that I want to stress is that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't necessarily end up as dark as the middle parts of it. Let's put it that way. With that in mind, we can look forward into the future. What happens next? I have already included a full preview of what the next arc is going to be. The first 3-book arc, Rhythm, and then Cadence, and now Tempo, belonged to Lucas Andrews, which is our protagonist, and Isidore, which is the immortal godson that shares Lucas's body. With that, sorry, cat. With that arc ending, we have to pass the torch. That torch is going to be passed to a character that was created for a short story contest that I entered. And actually, I was the runner-up, so there's that. That would be Tyrell. And Tyrell brings a whole new aspect to the Ihy Saga universe. He is a very different kind of host from a very different world when compared to Lucas and some of the other hosts that we have been exposed to. His godson, the son of Ihy that is bound to him, is unlike the others. Whereas with Lucas and Isidore, we had kind of a best friend relationship, and with Brian and Knack, we had a kind of brothers in arms type thing, soldiers, fellow soldiers. And we can also look at some of the other short stories and come up with kind of a father-son relationship where the spirit is very much fatherly. This time we've got a big brother, little brother situation where the host is a little brother and the spirit is kind of acting as his big bro. And that was a very interesting dynamic. It's something I wanted to incorporate in one of the pairings, and it just turned out that this was a really good one. Someone who's not going to be too authoritative, but someone who will advise, someone who is going to be quite understanding about their hosts, needs, both physical and mental and what have you, but also act as kind of a guiding light at the same time. All of those things are important to this particular 3-story arc. So we previewed it at the end of Tempo, and then the next 3 stories in the Ihy Saga universe will be about Tyrell and the godson, who, if you've read the short story, you already know. But it's going to involve his family, his future aspirations, and the further involvement of the ever-growing number of gods and goddesses that are involved in the Ihy Saga universe, and a continuation of what we know from the end of the 3rd book, which is that perhaps the danger, perhaps the evil, the big bad that we're trying to represent is not the be-all and end-all of what the goddaughters and godsons of Ihy are going to have to face in the mortal realm. Never mind what they're going to have to face in the immortal realm, in the likes of Duat. So, we are just getting started here. We're talking about at least a 9-book arc with at least 3 different pairings already planned out. It's going to be a matter of how well the first trilogy sells, though. So, sales for the first book and the second book, they were all right. They were nothing like my fantasy series, though. Didn't even come close. So, with the launch of the trilogy and the packaging of the trilogy, which I'll offer all 3 books for a slight discount, once they come out, probably late July. So instead of $4 a book for each individual book, I'll probably offer it all for $9.99. So a couple bucks off, just because people are committing to buying everything at once. If that sells well, if that advertises well, if it sells well, if it goes up the charts, and I get some consistent sales, which I saw when I packaged Another Stupid Trilogy. But the pricing is slightly different for that because the first book was free, so I just took that right off the price. It's $6.99 for Another Stupid Trilogy. So the pricing is slightly more, but then again, there's no free book involved. You can't get any part of it for free. So with that in mind, the $2 discount is quite good, rather than the $1 discount that you get from Another Stupid Trilogy. So this is what's going through my mind. That is what I'm looking at for near future, is that we complete Cadence. I'm sorry, we complete Tempo and add it on to the end of Cadence. And with that arc complete, we'll be able to package it as a trilogy and get it out there. The timing on that, June looks to be the period within which the beta reading will happen. The art is being commissioned as we speak. I'm just waiting to hear back from the artist in question. And then everything should be ready for a 2-week more broad preview where we do ARC sessions, advanced reader copies, and we put it out there to the beta readers and get some initial feedback, the broad beta readers, the 30 some odd ones from my mailing list, and get some feedback on that. So once we have all of those things, we can look at launch events and things of that nature. That's where we're at. The Ihy Saga is quite important to me. If it does not sell, though, then I'm likely to concentrate more on my fantasy and on my romance. And when I say romance, I'm talking specifically about Our Sealy World. So the Sealy Recipe being the first book there, which I have never had initial reviews like this. On Goodreads, we're something at 4.9 stars. On Amazon, I think we have a perfect score. And, we're getting up to 100 copies out there plus, and we're still at a perfect score. That is some good feedback. People are liking the book. They like the format. They like everything about it. But it's a more niche audience. I think it is. But maybe it's broader than I thought, because it does have that Neil Gaiman vibe, and it does have the Studio Ghibli vibe. And I've tried to combine those two things as best as I can, and create something new and magical and rural. And I wanted to get that rural fantasy vibe really out there. The fact that with the Sealy Recipe, we're in Vermont and New Hampshire, and we're in the foothills and the woodlands. And, I wanted to create something beautiful with the Fae community, thus the word Sealy and Unsealy being, very often mentioned, both in the titles of the books as well as the series, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go. That's what's happening. And if it does not sell very well, I will refocus my efforts. I'll leave it at 3 books. I am quite proud of what we've done with the Ihy Saga. And if it's not a commercial success, it is an artistic success. It's still got great ratings across the board. Maybe the audience is just not broad enough for it. But I think that this is one that you could turn to a television series. This is one that you could turn to a movie series quite easily. And if anyone ever wants me to turn the tap back on, should I stop making these books to focus on better selling ones, I could turn the tap back on like that. I know exactly what's going to happen for 6 more novels, so I have no problem doing that. But quite proud about what we're doing with Tempo, just putting the finishing touches on it before we get out to beta. That's it. That's what's going on, folks. Hopefully, this was useful to my fans. I know I haven't been doing a lot of updates. The updates I used to do for Patreon, this kind of encompasses what's been going on with me for the past, couple of months. I've, of course, suspended my Patreon because I'm not putting out 3 novels this year. It's only going to be 2. My patrons will still get the ebooks and what have you, as promised by their initial pledges. And the physical copies of the books will also go out signed to the people who pledged at that level. But I did not want to disappoint anyone by only doing 2 books this year instead of the 3 that is my normal route. So don't worry, patrons. You are in good hands, safe hands, and those books will get out to you. That's it. I just want to do a quick, little 15-minute video and let folks know where I was. So if you have any questions, go and throw them in the comments, or you know how to reach me. Please feel free to sign up at the website, www.billricardi.com, and get on the mailing list. Or if you just want my free stuff, go to www.billricardi.com/free.html, and that will give you a list of everything. I will put links in the description. Also, if you follow me on Facebook, then it's Me Smart Orc is the name of the page, and I will throw a link as well into the description of this video. Have a good and safe weekend, everyone, and we'll see you soon enough. Bye-bye.